Good evening, Dr. Key. Max Rasmussen here. Excited to one-way talk to you. So I'm going to do my best with this assignment. I'm keeping track of my time with my pen over here, and I'm going to do my best to go through the flow and ask all the questions. So we'll go ahead and get started. So for chapter 1, how have historical events affected the course of research and practice in organizational psychology? I'm going to give you a few examples. I do have some notes over here, but I'm going to give you some examples. So first is COVID and the increase of telework options and flexible work schedules that have been created through folks having to stay at home and work through the pandemic. I think that revealed that people could, for specifically those white collar jobs, people that work in industries that allow you to use communication technology to connect with people, that they could do that and be productive and find success using Microsoft Teams or Zoom to complete projects, stay on top of their tasks. Management could connect. So that was... it revealed that the modern technology was really helpful in helping teams stay organized together. That also increased globalization, which is my second point, increase of globalization, which has increased competitors in industries on a worldwide scale. So Jackson Britt state on page 23 that working in different cultures that are vastly different than ourselves present unique challenges. So they use the term culture bound, and for me that means working regionally or in a zone. You might be used to working with people that all come from the South or the Pacific Northwest, where I'm from, and so you understand the language and the cultural values that are bound to that area. And by being able to use communication and some of the things that happened during, again, the pandemic and over the last 5 years, the explosion of these different technologies. You might work with people that live across the ocean or from different countries that don't speak English even, or well, it might be their second language, or you might be able to work across oceans and be that person that brings your American version of success or job experience to their company if you're going to work for someone else too. So getting outside of our cultural boundaries and working with a particular group of people that may not think like you or have grown up like you is created organizational psychology to create more pathways and trainings to help people kind of bridge those gaps. And then the last example is the increase in communication technology. I think that has made mental health needs less taboo and more culturally acceptable. So a lot of industries have learned that they need to promote a lot of health and well-being in their work center. Again, COVID and working from afar has really shown us that we need to be more advanced in how we train people to care for themselves, to have that self and work care balance. So more than ever, mental health professionals, organizational psychology has kind of dipped into a lot of different professions like entertainment, sports, and social advocacy. And if you think about like a lot of the different social media platforms that exist today, you have to think of like BetterHelp, Headspace, Calm, and Talkspace, where technology has really increased the range that organizational psychologists have inside of environments and how much there is a need for them today. So again, these examples I think have kind of shown from history have kind of shown how there's been a large impact on organizational psychology and what some of the outcomes and results are from that. So moving on to chapter 3. So recruiting hasn't always been tied to organizational psychology, but is becoming entwined all the time. talk about how you would advise leadership to expand their pool of qualified applicants and what activities and events they should consider in opening their pool. So Jex and Britt discuss using index hiring practices, so things like time-lapse data or yield ratios. So time-lapse data is kind of asking yourself, how long does it take to go through the different recruiting steps, and looking for bottlenecks that exist inside of that process. So is it a person or a team that is stopping your process from moving quickly or being effective in how they are addressing hiring specific members for specific positions? Is it marketing, or is it the hiring manager themselves? So there's a lot of different things to look at there. And then yield ratios are looking at the total number of candidates being produced through your different recording sources. For example, if you were doing campus recruiting, you walk around the campus and look for people that exist, that are going through some of the training programs, that might be looking for a job right after graduation, as they should. And are you getting the most bang for your buck, and how you're catering your services to them to kind of draw and make your university more attractive to those applicants, and are you hiring quality students to come in and fill those positions after they're done? Is there a program specifically built for them to onboard and join a team as a faculty member? So campus recruiting could help you expand your pool. You could look at the yield ratios or the time-lapse data. I also think that you could look at your competitors' hiring practices. Are there other schools out there that are really successful in finding quality candidates? Have they been able to do something specific that you can review, borrow, improve upon? I really do think that you need to understand the process before you make a ton of changes. So I would encourage the university and whoever contacted me to look at their strategic plan. Do they have one, or do they need to look at developing one? So is there something specific that you guys are trying to do right now to find particular members? Do you have a budget? Are you looking to do it internally or move it externally? Are you going to hire a company to come in and show you something, or that can be cost heavy? So I would get more detailed with your job description as well. So those unqualified candidates that you're looking for may weed themselves out. I know you're trying to expand your pool, but by being more detailed, you might be able to find more diverse skill sets, or more highly sought after skill sets in the recruits that you're looking for. And then look how much time you have to do your hiring. So when are the people coming? If you're trying to hire people in an off season where people aren't looking for jobs or they're already employed, that might be difficult. So you kind of need to understand the pattern of when people are starting to look for jobs, when the market is hot, and kind of go that direction if you're just to plan it out. So your strategic plan could outline some of those things for you, a budget, time, and then what strategies your team is specifically using to find really skilled people. And then lastly, monetary incentives. You can look at offering bonuses for particular skills, or bonuses for loyalty and staying with the company, or staying with the faculty and coming on to get hired, helping pay off loans, or do something that's going to want to attract people to come and work for you. So by doing these things, I do think that you can expand pools and help your recruiting efforts in finding specific skill sets for your team. So for Chapter 4, you're consulting with the hiring manager that just hired a high performer, and you want to make sure that person stays with the company for a while. So what is some advice that I would give to the hiring manager about reducing work-family conflict to ensure they stay as long as possible? So Jex and Britt state that employees who perceive organizations and work centers as family-friendly or those that emphasize like a commitment to encouraging people to develop a work-family balance, and avoid those conflicts, really have more success in having committed employees and increase the loyalty within their organization from their employees. So I would suggest that the management team create an onboarding meeting, and really focus on displaying the things that the organization does now to showcase that they are a family supportive environment. So those family supportive supervisor behaviors, acknowledging that the member has unique characteristics in their family, or things that they might have, that they're willing to work with them to develop a plan to work independently to overcome some of those, or suggest ways that they can work on those things as a team. The supervisor being committed to the communication and the development of that member, and that if they come and ask for help, that they're going to be willing to support them through whatever that is, before problems arise or as they arise. I would also encourage that hiring manager to spend specific time focused on learning about that member and their specific work-family conflicts. So are they more in line with time, strain, or behaviors? Are they a single parent? Do they have kids that are daycare age or senior care responsibilities? That information is going to help you anticipate what some of the common concerns might be as they attempt to switch on and off their family roles and their work roles, which is really difficult for people from time to time. Data has shown that some individual factors, such as type A or B tendencies, can provide, again, another data point for that manager to support whether their high performer is likely to experience work-family or family-work conflicts, whichever way. Is it harder for them to move from their work role to their family role, or from their family role to their work role? So the data says that more positive affect, how they emote and display themselves, and higher self-efficacy, their ability to manage themselves and take care of themselves, those people have decreased risk for work-family conflicts. So through your questioning and your onboarding, you'll be able to learn a little bit about their personality and figure out what kind of worker they might be. And then the last thing I would recommend to that management team is to, even outside of their onboarding discussions or their follow-up discussions through the first several months and then beyond with their member, is to lead by example. So if you say that you are a company that is committed to decreasing work-family conflict, then they need to model that in their actions and their behaviors. So are you staying late and asking other people to do that, or are you focused on leading by example and showing them that it's time to go when it's time to go? Not answering emails on weekends and those kinds of things that send signals to the company that there's it's not a rule, but it's an organizational norm to stay connected, and can really burn people out or cause harm over time. So I think that these are some of the things that can help reduce work-family conflict, and encourage members to stay at organizations for as long as possible. Okay, so for chapter 5, I'm talking about organizational citizenship behaviors and a current job description that I can find, and how I would improve that description by including or removing elements. So job performance are behaviors that employees engage in while at work that contribute to the organizational's goals. And then OCB's, organizational citizenship behaviors, are things that are not required in a formal job description, but that contribute to, I guess, the well-being of the work center, that help members perform well and manage teams like that. So my brother works at a correctional facility. He's a corrections sergeant or officer in Eastern Oregon. And he tells me all the time to come and join him afterwards, after I get out of the military. So I looked at his job description and found some OCB traits. I'll read a couple of those. So they're not straightforward or distinct skills. These are things that I think can exist at any organization. But I would consider some of these OCB and some of these more job descriptions or job performance traits. So for example, they're asking them to be cooperative in supporting management's goals, have the ability to effectively take control of situations, working as a team member, making choices reflecting good integrity, the ability to support and communicate with other staff. So all these are wonderful and great, but they're not incredibly specific. So in Campbell's model of job performance, Campbell talks about in-role and extra-role distinctions. In-roles are specifics that are more like directly technical tasks. So I could assume that working in a team could be a technical skill if you got more specific. So is it working in a team, in a pair, to monitor, they don't call them inmates, detainees, so to monitor detainees' behavior patterns and make sure that they're safe from each other and themselves? Or is making good choices reflecting good integrity? So what would be good integrity? So not stealing, not lying, not cheating, no history of I don't know, issues with drugs or the law, I think would be more specific for in-role. Ability to effectively take control of situations. For an in-role, I would say that could be in-role, again, if you were specific about the job task. And then extra roles are cultural norms that they set for the entire organization. So this is like an emphasis on teamwork or having a nice atmosphere, so being positive, working well with others, cooperating, and specifically they state management, cooperating with management's goals for the organization, and that was one of the tasks outlined in my brother's job description up here. So ability to cooperating in support of management's goals. So they did match, and that was interesting. So I would start by clearly labeling or identifying in their current job description which tasks are job specific and which are non-job specific or extra role. So even create categories between those jobs that are going to help that candidate understand what % of the time they're going to be expected to do which roles. So if that's monitoring behavior or communicating or, I don't know, sitting in a computer typing reports, being on guard, those things are important. Being able to be physically fit, I think, would be important, versus those things that are atmosphere-based, organizational-based, being a positive influence, having a good attitude. That's not going to make or break your job, but that's going to be helpful in the long run for preventing job dissatisfaction and being able to work well with the inmates and the staff, create an environment that's supportive. I think that by doing these things, you can create a better outline for tasks that are going to help that job description be more successful to bring in candidates, and it's going to help directly lead to the overall performance of the member trying to perform those roles, and see what management would expect from them in those positions. Okay, so Chapter 6. Consultant for a large organization, and they've had an increase in counterproductive work behavior, so CWBs, and then not having the specifics, but what can I suspect some of these constraints might be and what they would do to resolve them. Jex and Britt state in the book that counterproductive work behaviors can be a form of protest. There might be something underlying issues that are that need to be quickly looked at by the management team to help, create a training plan, offer some counseling, or identify persistent problems or people that could potentially need to be terminated if these offenders are just not going to react positively to training on specific areas or counseling. But by doing these things and reacting quickly, you can have powerful organization changes or identify things that the management team needs to focus on to make improvements there. So two of the most common counterproductive work behaviors that are talked about in the book are person and situational factors. Those person factors are more focused on personality, so narcissism, trait anger, conscientiousness, and self-control. Whereas situational are norm, stress, and injustice. So somebody that feels that there's an injustice in their area, everybody's being treated unfairly, or everyone's being treated fairly, regardless of the kind of performance that they have. If your high performers are being treated exactly the same as the people that are showing up late, or that aren't performing the way that they should be, then that can be a strain on somebody. They could feel like maybe there's an injustice at the work center. Why would they want to bring more energy to a job when they aren't being recognized for their goodness, or when there's no consequences to showing up late? So so understanding the difference between person and situational factors can help you learn the management team decide where they need to focus their time and attention. And then another important factor that they talked about in the book, one of the biggest issues, is employee absenteeism. So ensuring that you are instituting fair absence control policies, or fostering a positive absence culture in the organization. So you might have people that feel that they need to take some time off, or that they need to leave. So instead of punishing people for leaving when it's not planned, you create space for them to come and say they need to be out for healthcare or family or other needs, that you help them do that, and then you promote that as a team, versus find ways to keep people at the work center as long as possible before they lead to abuse, harassment, and other issues. I would suggest to that team that maybe job criteria is not clearly defined. Maybe their tasks aren't spelled out and they don't know how they're performing. Maybe the feedback from leadership isn't frequent enough to inspire people to keep performing at the level that they have been. Or they're not being told that their performance is subpar, and that they need to correct their behaviors, or consequences will follow. So clearly outline job criteria, and take a stab at having more direct feedback with your people. Jex and Britt suggest a couple of models, the Bennett and Robinson two-factor model. So this is focused on targets of the behavior. So is it more organizational or individually based? Is the behavior focused at the organization as a whole, or is it a member of the management team or people within the organization? That can lead you to figure out where the behaviors are stemming from, and why. And then Spector's five-factor model is more focused on the content of the behavior versus the target of the behavior itself. So they talk about theft, sabotage, production deviance, withdrawal, and then abuse towards other people. So these two models can help you hone in on behaviors. Are they directed towards a target? Are they directed towards the organization as a whole? And then take the steps that I talked about before to develop a plan quickly to overcome these counterproductive work behaviors, so you can avoid repeating mistakes or letting things get too far before they get worse. These will help root out and cut off the problems, and the management team should be a little bit more successful in reducing those behaviors from coming up. Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Key. I think that was all 5. I look forward to your feedback. Thank you.